he knocked me out, they had to literally carry me out of the ring.
Yeah, see, I don't want no parts of that.
You don't want none of that D-Money.
Nope.
So when Joe come to the unit, he's from Detroit. He boxed with Tommy Hearns in the Kronk gym. He's looking for somebody who knew anything about boxing to help work with him.
Oh,
And it was me.
that's
Because I was the one who had any sort of experience. And one thing led to another. And he got on the team. And they separated us until he put his foot down and said, no. He said, none of y'all believed in me. He said, no, what all? He said, he believed in me from the beginning. If I'm on the team, he's on the team with me. So after they did a bunch of paperwork and maneuvering, I was able to be on the team.
When did you pick it up?
As an amateur?
Yeah.
72, I'm going to tell you. 72, 73. I didn't stick with it. I did it because we were here visiting before my mother moved us here. And the friends in the neighborhood encouraged me to step in the ring when they were looking for anybody who wanted to take part.
Let's get on into it. You over grooving D-Money. Yeah, I almost didn't want to turn it off the way D-Money was over here grooving to it. If this is your first time tuning in, this is Beyond the Game, and I'm your host, Nephew Q, and I got a couple of my constituents in the build with me. If you're watching via Facebook Live, to my left, y'all right watching, I got my guy, Sports and Discourse's very own, all things UK related, D-Money, a.k.a. Derek Stevenson in the building. Go introduce yourself one time for the one time, my guy.
Man, that was such a good introduction. I don't really think I need to say anything else after that, man. I appreciate it, though.
Yes, sir. And then we have a special guest in the building. I'm going to let him rattle off a whole list of accolades that this guy has been through. I have Oscar Woodall in the building. Mr. Oscar, go and introduce yourself. Just a little quick bio.
Well, Brother Q, you're too kind to say that I have a plethora of things to share.
I seen the text message you sent me, man. It was like 2 paragraphs long with all of the list of accomplishments and accolades and things that you've done in
let me sum it up
career.
as best I can.
Okay.
I was a member of the 1980 Olympic boxing team, and let me stress, as a trainer, not as a boxer. Let me, as one TV character said, let me make it perfectly clear.
Okay.
I think Ronald Reagan said that.
Okay. So we have a special guest in the building who's going to help us out with the show today.
5 years minor league basketball. I was director of basketball operations 3 years in the United States Basketball League. And I put several guys into the NBA, most notable Darrell Armstrong, who was the NBA Sixth Man of the Year with the Orlando Magic back in the day.
There it is. He put Darrell Armstrong in the league, D-Money, for your Orlando Magic. He's a big Orlando Magic fan, by the way.
Man, I wish I would have known you back in the day. You could have got me about 10, 15 minutes at Taste Creek, man.
Got your little playing time over at Taste Creek.
Little playing time at Taste Creek.
Oh, man. So we got a big matchup going on this week. We have the NBA Finals finally about to kick off. We got the Denver Nuggets versus the Miami Heat. We got Joker versus Jimmy Jordan, because some people think that Jimmy Butler is Jordan's secret love child. But
I do.
That's another story for another day. We'll get into that differently. You said you think it's his child?
Yeah, because I heard somebody break it down and say that Michael Jordan the Bulls was on a road trip, and Michael Jordan took a couple of days off in Houston.
Okay.
And then next thing you know, the mother's talking about Dad don't want his name out there.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely his son.
That's his son. That's his son. So we got Jimmy Jordan versus Joker in this matchup. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it off real quick when we're proper. I'm going to go ahead and get the Denver Nuggets 4-2 in this matchup. The reason why I'm going 4-2 is that I feel like the Denver Nuggets have had a harder road to travel than the Miami Heat. They had to take down KD and Devin Booker. They had to take down LeBron and AD. And now they're about to face, there we got Chuck in the building. Now they're about to face Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. So let me go ahead and get Denver Nuggets getting their first NBA championship, beating the Miami Heat 4-2. Joker wins Finals MVP. He averages a triple-double during the NBA Finals. D-Money, what you got and who you got?
I think I'm going to go with Denver as well. But I would like to see it go to 7 games, but I'm afraid it's not. I'm afraid it might be over in 5 or 6. The thing that's really kind of making me hesitant to rock with the Heat is I just feel like in order for them to be effective, Bam is going to have to stay out of foul trouble and play like 30 to 35 minutes every single night.
Mm-hmm.
And that's only going to be to hold Joker under 26 points.
That ain't gonna happen.
I don't think it is.
That ain't gonna happen. I don't think it ain't gonna go with that. So what you got? What you got?
I'm gonna go Denver in. Oh man, I'm gonna go Denver in 5.
Denver in 5? You would like to go
with
7?
with a possible 6.
Who you got finals MVP?
I think it's gonna be Joker.
Joker, easy
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
Easy money. And then we got the legend. This guy right here was Dolomite's best friend growing up. We got B Legend in the building. B Legend, gonna introduce yourself and why you at it. Let the people know who you got in this series.
The series is easy.
It's easy money. You got the Miami Heat.
No.
They got Jimmy Jordan.
Nah.
You got the Miami Heat.
Nah, they just they're outsized. They don't have enough size to deal with them. Like Miami doesn't have enough size to deal with Joker, Mike Porter Jr.
Aaron Gordon.
Aaron Gordon.
Mm.
They just don't have enough. I mean, they're gonna get out rebounded.
Mm-hmm.
To D Money's point, Bam's got to stay out of foul trouble.
Ain't gonna happen.
If Bam stays out of foul, if he gets in foul trouble, who they gonna bring off the bench? UD?
Yeah, good luck with that.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Nah, that's why I get what you're saying. They don't have enough
I
bodies.
mean, they
Yeah.
just don't have enough.
Yeah.
I mean, so I want to give it 5,
But you're gonna give it.
but I'm gonna give it 4.
You're gonna give it a clean sweep.
Because I just don't see Jokic will easily average a triple double.
Mhm.
Easy.
Mm-hmm.
Like what type of triple double? Like a 30-point triple
I'm
double?
thinking 27, 12, and 10.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that's
Something like that. I mean, he could easily be up in 15 to 20 rebounds.
Yeah, because ain't nobody out there that
Who's
can.
gonna rebound with
Bam will probably get you about 8 to 10, but
That'd be about it.
him? I mean, you say you want to give him a gentleman's sweep.
Yeah.
Because I would like to actually see Jimmy Butler win. I just don't think they had a manpower to get it done.
They ain't gonna get it done. But before we let our special guest answer, we have a caller on the line. Caller, what's your name? Hey, what's going on, Adam? So, Adam, give us your NBA Finals prediction and who do you think will win Finals MVP?
All right, I think both of them are spot on. I think it's a sweep of 5 games, and that's gonna be the Nuggets. The only thing is the Heat wasn't supposed to be there anyway. They're playing with house money. They've already knocked out some teams that were bigger than them and all this and that. But I think this little storybook ends. And Jokic, Joker's the favorite for MVP. But I gotta say, I'm giving it to that killer Jamal Murray.
yes, sir.
He's
It's
gonna
gonna be
show
blue.
out, and either way, one of my cats is getting a ring. But I'll hang up. I'll just listen on to the show. But go Cats.
Okay.
Adam, we appreciate you for calling in and forget that last part, but we appreciate you for tuning in and always with the show as well. You can also check out Adam Kent on one of our podcasts, Spoken Mind, so make sure you go check him out on that. Adam, appreciate you calling in, my guy.
Yeah, you be good, man. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. So special guest in the building, Mr. Oscar. Oscar, go on, bring us on home. Who you got in this NBA Finals matchup, and who you got Finals MVP?
I'm going to say what Adam said. Let me just say ditto. Adam, I believe in what you're saying. I like the Nuggets. I think they have more athleticism and they're quicker. I look for the series to go 7, however, because Miami's not going to exactly lay down and let them get walked on.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay, Sam. So who you got winning Finals MVP?
I like Jamal Murray to win it.
Okay, Jamal Murray, ditto, like he said. Adam said so. He got 7 games. Jamal Murray getting Finals MVP with Mr. Oscar's prediction. We have another call on the line. Caller, what's your name, man?
Man, it's the one and only Ike Barron.
Oh, Lord. We got Easy Ike Barron in the building. So, all right, go ahead and give us your NBA Finals prediction and who you think getting Finals MVP.
Man, Nuggets win easy. I'm gonna give. I want to just say 5, but I might give Miami 2 games, but I think Denver probably wins them 5. MVP easy. I think he averaged a 30-point triple double.
We got some disparity in the bill. Mr. Oscar is shaking his head no. Mr. Oscar, why you shaking your head no at his prediction?
I have to respectfully disagree. Like I said, Miami's not going to lay down and play dead, and it's going to go, I think, 7.
All right, what's your response to Mr. Oscar?
Way too much size.
You said way too much size.
But Denver has quickness and athleticism that overcome that.
He says Miami's quickness can overcome Denver's size. What you think about that? And Chuck, I want you to answer that as well when I get done.
Oh, I don't think so, because now you got to rely on 3 undrafted players to have another great series. It's not gonna happen. You know, Caleb, he had a great series, but them first 2 series, you know, he averaged 11 in one and 10 in another. Then he averaged 20 in that last one. He's not going to do that again. Trouble. And they have nobody that can stop Joker.
Hey, there it is. So I appreciate you for tuning in, my guy. Make sure y'all all check out Spoken Minds podcast as well. Download, subscribe to that. All right, we can't wait to hear from you a little bit later on, big dog. Yep. So Chuck, real quick. So to Ike's point about, you know, Miami maybe having an advantage with quickness and you know, that. Oh, well, Oscar's point, my bad. I do apologize. What you think about that? Because you're the one who brought up Denver's length and size being the issue.
They may have quickness. I mean, you know, as I think about it, you know, I might give them 1 game.
You being generous.
And the reason why I say that is because Denver ain't played in a week.
Little rust action.
Maybe that. I mean, I think Spoelstra's going to be smart enough to mix up his coverages, right? He's going to go. First of all, they're going zone. They have no choice but to go zone. Okay. Now, what keeps them in the game is if Denver can't hit shots. If they can't hit shots, then that's going to be a problem, right? Because they're going to go zone. And then they'll mix it up. They go zone. Sometimes they won't. Sometimes they will. They go man to man. Spoelstra's smart enough to mix it up a little bit.
But Chuck, if I can jump in here real quickly, I think when you got Jamal Murray, he'll open up that inside and bust that zone up.
Exactly.
He's a long range shooter, and he's been pretty much dead on the mark this season.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, during his NBA career, let's not forget what he did when he's here playing for the Kentucky Wildcats and how much he was on the mark then.
He played for UK?
Yes, he did.
Is that where he came from?
Yes.
I didn't know. I didn't know
Well,
that.
you know, they got him. Well, you got to understand, you got him.
Well, that's why you have me here.
Oh, okay.
Well, you know, but you got him. You got Caldwell Pope.
Okay.
And you got Michael Porter Jr. So if those guys are hitting, they don't come out of that zone because they won't have a choice but to come out of the zone, right? So, you know.
And Bruce Brown, by the way, too.
You know, so they're going to, but Denver's going to attack the zone, too. So I just think it's just too many obstacles there, you know, that would say, oh, okay, well, Miami's going to take this 6 or 7. I just think at the end of the day, you know, it's just the size, it's the length. I think they outman. I mean, to Ike's point, I mean, you're looking for, you know, some undrafted guys that have remarkable series again. And I'm not saying they can't do it because they've done it.
That's what it sounds like to me.
I just don't. I don't think it's gonna be enough.
So, man, y'all ain't giving.
No.
Okay.
Now listen, this is the only thing that can save Miami. Miami has got to turn into a track meet and hit a bunch of threes, but they got to be running constantly.
Yeah, but that's right up. That's up Denver's alley too. They like to run too.
But it may hurt Joker though.
But the thing
Joker
is,
like to run.
Miami was dead last in points per game in the NBA. So if they go through these little lows where they can't score, it's gonna be big problems for them.
You know what hurts Miami?
What's that?
Some of their players like they needed 4 to 5 years ago. They needed Kyle Lowry then. They got some guys on the team right now that could have helped them, but they just don't have the juice no more.
Wait a minute. 4 to 5 years. What happened 4 or 5 years ago?
I mean, I'm just saying, man, he was a better player.
Well, why did they need Kyle Lowry 4 or 5 years ago? I wouldn't. What happened? What happened then?
He just was better. That's all I'm saying.
But who were they playing against that they needed Kyle Lowry?
I mean, they're gonna get Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero will be back. Tyler Hero will be back.
No, Chuck. Who was they playing against?
Oh, was that 4 to 5 years?
No, that was what was the bubble? 3 years ago?
The bubble?
Yeah, 3 years ago. Is that when they need Kyle Lowry?
I mean, Toronto Kyle Lowry might have helped them a lot.
Oh, okay. All right. We're going to take a quick commercial break on Beyond the Game on WLXU 93.9 FM. When we come back, we will talk about Derek Stevenson's favorite, not best, but favorite player, Scottie Pippen, and his remarks about Michael Jeffrey Jordan when we come back on Beyond the Game on WLXU 93.9 FM.
Scott.
I'm LPFM,
Yo, guys, Scott.
Kentucky.
No, Scott.
I just can't see it.
Yeah.
I can't see it so bad. I don't even
Radio
watch it.
Lex
You're
with the support of audio engineer
You're
extraordinaire,
Do you
Doug
think
Collins.
because Denver
Thanks,
had all the
Doug.
days off that Miami can steal game one?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
This would be take game one.
So if they don't get game one, you think it's
Did you
sweep?
know an unbelted person hitting a windshield in a 40
I
mile
want
an
it to
hour
be
crash
better
feels
than
the
that.
same force as someone hitting the ground
So
after
let's not
falling
forget
off a
Tyler
five-story
Hero.
building?
It's not
Hi, this
Yeah,
is
he won't
Scott
be back
State
till
Farm,
maybe game
reminding you
three,
that
maybe
seatbelts are the
game
most
three.
effective safety feature in your vehicle.
Unless
They can reduce the
Zero
risk of
average.
fatal injury up to
And they said maybe
60%.
game three could be
Be a good neighbor
Zero
and
average,
buckle up.
like 22.
Yeah.
They need all of that.
They need all of that.
Yeah, but that's gonna take away somebody else's phone.
Radio Lex
Huh?
has the support of Founders Circle members Side
Joker go
View.
down against LA, go
Thanks,
down
Si.
against Phoenix, and just out rebound everybody.
Yeah, that's true. Welcome back to Beyond the Game on WLXU 93.9 FM. We talked a little NBA Finals action. We're going to move the conversation to a love-hate relationship. I don't even know how they won 6 championships with the way Scottie Pippen's acting these days. But anyways, if you've been living underneath a rock, Scottie Pippen came out with some remarks about Michael Jordan. If you haven't heard them, here they are right here. Let me get this.
What did he say?
What do you say?
Ever played a game of basketball. And there's no comparison to him. None. So, does that make him the greatest player to ever play the game? I'll leave that out for debating because I don't believe that there's a great player because our game is a team game and one player can't do it. Like, I seen Michael Jordan play before I came to play with the Bulls. You guys seen him play. He was a horrible player. He was horrible to play with. He was all one-on-one. He's shooting bad shots. And all of a sudden, we become a team and we start winning. Everybody forgot who he was.
Yeah, buddy. That was Scottie Pippen's remarks about Michael Jeffrey Jordan. It looks like everybody can't wait to get on the mic about this one, so I'll just go around the room, kick it off for D-Money first. What's your thoughts on Scottie Pippen's comments about Michael Jordan?
Look, I think Scotty, or should I say Scott?
Scott, he called Scott.
Scott just be at home drinking his digits bourbon because nobody else is drinking it, so he got all the bottles at his house. And
So disrespectful.
I think he feels way more underappreciated and undervalued than he should for a guy that won 6 championships, right?
Mhm.
Now, if this was somebody else on the team saying this, it would make a little more sense. But Scotty really got to live in the glory. Like, okay, you're never going to be looked at like Jordan, but that's probably any other player that would have ever played with him. But most people hold Scott in a high regard.
Scott.
You know what I'm saying? And then there's a lot of other players that didn't even finish their career with a championship that probably would have loved to experience that. And he just seems too bitter for a guy that's won 6 times. But I think he's just dealing with a lot mentally, personal stuff off the court with his wife.
Okay.
He has 2 children trying to get their basketball careers off. He does have, like, he had his book he's trying to sell. He had his bourbon he's trying to sell. He actually got his own signature shoe line that he was trying to sell. So I think he just got a whole lot going on, and I think he just gets overwhelmed sometimes, and he starts to feel unappreciated, and he just goes off the deep end. But it's crazy because all Jordan ever does is speak highly of Scott. So I really don't understand why he's so mad at MJ, because MJ always lifts him up. Probably
Derek,
more
let
than
me
he
jump
should.
in and say I can answer that question. Maybe there was a little bit of jealousy there. I say, and I stress it a little bit. Let's keep it real, as they say. The great ones are always selfish.
For sure.
You think about all your great athletes. Magic Johnson was great and selfish. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Chamberlain, Russell, all those guys were selfish because they wanted to win. So Michael was selfish. He took a lot of shots, but he wanted to win. He didn't trust anybody but himself. And that's what you should do as an athlete. Trust yourself before you trust your teammates. Now I say that from from a GI's perspective when I was in the service. When I'm in that foxhole, I got to trust the guy that's in there with me. Who am I going to trust more, that guy or myself? So that was Michael's position. Batman needed Robin, absolutely. But without Robin, there is no Batman. I give everybody that. I can hear people saying that now. But still, Michael Jordan, selfish ball player, like Derek Jeter, Magic, Kareem, and Russell Chamberlain. And I go back to the 70s with the New York Knicks and Walt Frazier, Willis Reed, and Earl Carl Monroe, and those guys.
All right. So before I let you cook on this, because you got this cat ate the canary grin on your face. We got a caller on the line real quick. Caller, what's your name?
What up, y'all? It's Drew Merle.
We got Drew Merle from Infinity Link Podcast on the line right now. So I know you can't wait to unload on this. So Drew, what's your thoughts on Scottie Pippen's comments towards Michael Jordan?
Man, the first thing I did, and I need everybody that's jumping on Scottie's behind with these comments to go look at the comments in his speech from Michael's Hall of Fame ceremony induction, where he called Michael the best teammate he ever played with, amongst other things, the greatest to ever play, yada, yada, yada. So I think D touched on it a little bit in his first comments. I mean, it's obvious that Scottie's going through something in his life. It seems like he makes a new statement every other month now, just for the attention that he gets. Now, he did do this on Stacey King's podcast, who is a former Chicago Bull at the same time, a lot less well-known, but still works for the Bulls media as well. So, I mean, I feel like they got what they wanted out of it. The likes, the clicks, everybody's talking about it. It's a conversation being held in the sporting realm. So I feel like it's a little calculated by Scottie to do this. But, you can just hear the hate in his voice when he's talking. And, I mean, like Oscar said, yes, I mean, everybody knows MJ was a selfish player. But like he also said, you're not getting those championships without Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan, as he openly admitted in The Last Dance, which is why I don't understand what Scottie's so salty about. But he admitted in The Last Dance there's no 6 titles without Scottie Pippen, and that Scottie Pippen's name deserves to be brought up every time the Chicago Bulls and their championships are brought up. So, I mean, I think Scottie's just trying for some relevance. I won't go down the road of saying he's doing it because of what Michael's son's doing to his ex-wife. We all know about that situation, but it seems to me like this is some calculated ulterior motives. Last time he did this, he dropped a new liquor brand like 2 weeks later. So I feel like there's some new kind of endorsement coming out from him in the next week or two.
All right. So, Andrew, real quick, before we get you off the line, while I got you here, give me your NBA Finals prediction. Who gets Finals MVP?
In 6, Joker MVP.
And there it is, straight like that. That's Drew giving us his thoughts, views, and opinions on Scott Pippen and his comments about Michael Jordan. Make sure you check out his Infinity Link podcast as well. Drew, appreciate you for calling in, my guy. Yes, sir. So let's go to the guy who was at Michael Jordan's first game in Chicago, B Legend. He was there through it all, seen the whole glory years, seen it from his infancy. He was there the night Michael Jordan got drafted. What he told you, he was there. He was there. What's your thoughts on Scott Pippen's remarks about Michael Jordan?
How you want me to respond to this?
Hey, man, but that was in your heart.
I mean, I just think it's foolishness.
Okay.
I mean, because it just doesn't make any logical sense. I think everyone who's called in, Oscar D, everybody's made valid points, right? I mean, first of all, let's call a spade. Without Scottie, there's no championships. Without Michael, there's no championships. Michael acknowledges that. Michael gives praise to Scottie Pippen. He doesn't throw him under the bus or anything of that magnitude. I mean, I agree with Oscar. I mean, and let's just call a spade. All these great players are selfish, right?
Yeah, that's what makes them so great.
Right? I mean, I'm saying this in a serious mode. LeBron's selfish.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we can look at the last play, and I'm just making points. Look at the last play. LeBron, you know that they cannot defend you in the post, but you choose to continue to shoot 3 points. Sure. Whatever. Right? But he can do that because he's LeBron. Nobody's gonna say anything about that. Make or miss, it is what it is.
That's true.
So, I mean, I think part of this has to do with stuff that's going on with Michael and with his son, but they ain't got nothing to do with Michael.
Yeah, Michael ain't do nothing. Yeah, he didn't tell his son to go do that. I don't think he did.
I mean, we don't know the other side of this. We don't know what Mike is telling his grown son behind the closed doors.
He could be telling his son, "Don't do it."
Son, hey man, you causing issues. Don't do this. And he could be looking at his dad saying,
"So what?
Hey, screw you. I'm gonna do what I want to do. I'm a grown man."
That's true.
We don't know that.
That's true.
So Scotty's going through personals. That's just my opinion.
Just outside looking in.
And I also think that it's he may be trying to do it just to get a little publicity. But I also agree with what Dee's saying. I think that he is underappreciated. I really do think that, because if you go back to when they won those championships, look, you put Scotty on the best guy on the team, right?
Jordan couldn't defend him, right?
Whatever, however you want to look at it,
Right.
I'm just calling a spade a spade.
Right.
In these series, you put Scotty on that guy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Scotty's long, Scotty's locking that guy up, right?
Well, let me throw this in here too. Let's not forget about Dennis Rodman. He was a key figure in all that.
Yeah.
And you don't hear Dennis Rodman running around the world. I say around the world because we know Dennis Rodman is now a globetrotter, pun intended.
Yeah. I mean, he is. I think he is underappreciated. But he is one of the 50 greatest players ever. So he is getting his fame, right? He's getting his accolades. So I'm not sure what it is, but I just don't feed into it. I mean, I think it just causes conversation for everybody. Oh, Scotty said that about MJ. MJ ain't even responded to none of it.
MJ's in his own world.
I was gonna say, but once you get to a certain stratosphere, you don't respond to that.
But I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, he ain't even entertaining that. It's foolishness. You got 6 rings, etc., and you want to say that man is selfish and that, etc.
So what's the end goal for Scotty? Before I give y'all my thoughts on the whole situation, what's the end goal for him? Like, what's he trying to prove?
I don't know. It's a couple of guys out there that just are extremely upset with the way they feel Michael Jordan has treated them. The one guy that probably should be hurt more than them, but seems to be okay, is Charles Barkley. Because I don't know if Pippen was really Jordan's friend, but Charles Barkley was
his friend.
Right.
And Charles Barkley fairly just critiqued him on him being an owner or a manager, and Jordan's garbage at that.
Right.
And Jordan cut off the friendship. But when they asked Barkley about it, he's just like, it's kind of unfortunate. Maybe one day we'll be cool again. But he just continues to enjoy his life. The other two.
Charles also said that if they're going to come back together, Michael's got to call him because he's not calling Michael. Again, that's back to my point about being a selfish athlete. I'm not saying a selfish person. I'm talking about selfish athlete.
Right.
So I don't want people to get it confused that I'm saying they're selfish people. They're not.
Nah.
They've contributed a lot to their communities.
Yeah. The other two, which is Pippen and Isaiah, are bent all out of shape for guys that are legends.
Here we go.
Like, you should be so much of a legend that you shouldn't need Michael Jordan's approval.
That's right. That I do agree with. That part
I agree with that, but also I think out of all of those guys, I think Isaiah is just different. I think that's just a different animal.
I think Isaiah and Jordan's is more personal than what people know. I think it's more personal.
That's just a different animal.
Let me say one more thing
Go ahead,
about Scotty, though. The one thing that I feel like kind of makes him lose credibility with all this is when you say a guy is a garbage teammate and you basically saying he was messing up the game until you got there and turned it into a team game.
Mm-hmm.
When he went away from the game, you can't beg him to come back. If you feel like he's everything that he recently said,
Mm-hmm.
you can't be wearing the man's shoes and begging him to come back and win you some more championships.
Well,
I can wear shoes and slip on the trash though.
Well, on that same
But you
point,
can't beg him to help you.
but on that same point, when Michael did leave, what did Scotty do?
They went to the semifinals.
They went to the second round.
Couldn't
Yeah,
win,
semifinals.
couldn't win any championships, right?
And let's not forget about the head coach, Phil Jackson. Michael Jordan couldn't have been that kind of selfish player unless Phil Jackson allowed it.
But also, let's talk about this too, right? Pippen's comments talking about before he got there. I mean, it's the same dynamic, right? What was Michael supposed to do? I mean, he had let's call it what it is. You had Brad Sellers. You had some of these other guys.
He was even playing with George Gervin at one point.
I mean, they had a
Kyle Macy. What am I supposed to do with Kyle Macy?
They had a trash team. I mean, this dude had to score points in order for them to win. How did they get to if he don't do what he does, or what he did, I should say, they don't get to the playoffs. Regardless if he went into Boston and dropped how many?
63.
And they go.
Right. He lost. But my point is they don't get to the playoffs without Mike.
That's true.
But you complaining because he took all the shots. What was he supposed to do?
So before we go to commercial break, it's my thoughts on Scott Pippen and Michael Jordan.
And I know you gonna love this because you don't do nothing but spit venom on Michael because you just nasty.
I don't find anything Scottie Pippen said wrong except for the horrible player part. The horrible player part was the only thing that he said that was wrong. He said LeBron James would go down as the greatest statistical player ever. Is he wrong about that?
That's true.
That's true.
Okay, so my next point. He said Michael Jordan was horrible to play with. Well, if you're a guy that likes to touch the ball, and you, like you said, if you got a guy who's shooting 30-some shots a game, I don't want to play with you. I know you Michael Jordan, but can I get the leather? Can I touch? Can I get a shot up?
That's true.
I mean, that's true.
So that's what I'm saying. So a lot of people look at that as he's a horrible teammate, right? He said Jordan was one-on-one. That goes back to what your point was. He had to be a one-on-one player because who else was going to get buckets for the Bulls at the time? So again, was Scottie lying about that?
No.
So again, he said that Jordan took horrible shots. Again, if you're a one-on-one player, you're ISO, you're going to take some bad shots because you forcing stuff up, right?
Yeah.
So then
But I don't think overall you could say he takes consistently. He didn't.
Oh
take
yeah.
But again, that's not the connotation that Scottie was referring to. This.
But we don't. How do we know that?
I mean, you can just listen to what he's saying. His tonality.
Tonality. That's a good word,
right? His tonality just it just sounds like hate.
No, it sounds hate. It sounds like hate to the Jordan fans.
But no.
So, he never. But during his thing, he never said LeBron was the GOAT though. This time.
But see, I'm not even. See, my whole thing on this ain't even about a GOAT conversation.
No, that's why I think people I think people heard horrible player and Michael Jordan and it automatically just excluded everything else Scottie Pippen said, which the stuff that he was saying outside of that was actually factual.
Yeah, but okay.
Well, I'm listening. Just talk to me.
It's factual, but we know why he's saying it.
Right.
Makes it lose credibility.
So he can't have an opinion on Jordan?
Yes.
Yeah, he can have an opinion on Jordan.
If he wasn't coming from a place of bitterness,
it's not bitter.
It would be more valid.
It is.
It ain't bitter.
And you can hear the hatred in that man's voice.
I heard nothing but love. I heard constructive criticism.
And in all fairness to Scottie too, though, because I didn't hear the whole context of the interview with Stacey King. But I'm just saying, just hearing that, what I've heard over the last couple of days, et cetera, you can hear that there's something that's there. But you got all this other stuff that's running around in social media as well. Because I don't care what anybody says.
Mm-hmm.
That man feels a certain way that Michael Jordan's son is,
it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean that's flat out ignorant. Because I got to tell you, if that was my kid, I'd be like, dude, like.
Really?
You got all this out here.
$7 billion and you
all this and this is what you do.
You my son, so you
this causes come on.
I get what you're saying.
Come on, and hold on. And then on top of that, she's been with how many?
Future,
all these different guys.
Beasley, yeah.
And you my son. You MJ's son.
You get
whatever you want.
Just tell them who you are.
But this what you want? It don't make sense.
I ain't even gonna lie to you. I've seen her in the airport before with Scottie. She is like that, so I kind of understand a little bit.
I'm just saying she tough.
No, she tough.
Yeah,
I wouldn't take her serious, but I would definitely have a couple months of some fun.
But at the same time, I mean, are we gonna sit up there and do? I mean, his son out there, he booed up. I mean, they together.
Yeah, he tripping off that part.
I mean, come on, man.
He tripping off that part.
He could have did what he did and kept that low key and moved on about his business.
And nobody would ever know.
We're
going to take a quick commercial break on Beyond the Game on WLXU 93.9 FM. We will get into a little baseball action since it's the summertime and wonder why can't baseball, MLB, get back to where it used to be and compete with the NBA, NFL for ratings when we come back on Beyond the Game on WLXU 93.9 FM.
They could just toss it up, flip it up, did whatever you want to do. I mean, do all that.
I feel bad for Scott, though.
And I don't. I mean, not from. I mean, if you talk, are you talking about in reference to the young lady?
I think he's having mental health issues.
Oh,
I think that he don't know how to cope with his emotions, and he doesn't know how to deal with the level of success he achieved, and maybe the level of
is the phone ring?
appreciation that he didn't get.
Q. Is the phone ring?
Huh?
Oh, I thought the phone ring.
No.
My whole squad's listening. They say Scotty sounds like a bitter baby mama.
He said, I knew Derek Stevenson was rich, flying first class with Scott and wife.
Who said that?
Adam Kent.
They tripping in my group chat because I call him Scott. Kevin Durant got me on there. When he hit him with that, I said, oh, yeah.
Scott Pippen.
I'm on that.
Welcome back to Beyond the Game on WLXU 93.9 FM. We got off a little Scottie Pippen and MJ talk. Now we're gonna get into some baseball action. Chuck's son plays baseball for the high school. Is it senior, junior? Junior. Junior. Okay, he's a junior. So as y'all can probably notice and tell, people after the NBA finals just wait for training camp to kick off for the NFL. Like they don't pay no attention to baseball, no Shohei Ohtani. No, none of that. They just wait for the NFL training camp. So my question to the crew, what does baseball need, what does MLB need to do to get back to the forefront of the sports world like the NBA, NFL? D-Money, go ahead, my man.
What do they need to get back?
Yeah.
Steroids.
Okay.
I would love it if they let them take steroids again.
Yeah, let me hit the ball.
I want to see home runs. I want to see all the pitchers throwing 102
He
miles
said
an
no.
hour.
The Oscar shaking his head.
I just, hey,
hit the ball,
let
400
them cheat the game, man.
You say cheat the
Cheat the
game.
game. I love that whole little era where everybody was like, you had 5 or 6 dudes hitting 50 plus. I love that. I don't care at all about baseball anymore. And it's kind of sad. But you know what kind of makes it hard too is there's no real way to recreationally play baseball. So you can't even really appreciate it. Like you can't just go out and just like we can all go out and shoot some jumpers. We could throw a little football around.
It's easier
You can't
to
really play baseball together. So it's like you got to really be locked into that sport and be a real true fan. You can't. It's hard to be a casual fan of baseball.
That's fair.
Like I'm pretty much a casual fan of anything except for
UK.
Kentucky basketball. Now I'm going to say I watched all Kentucky football games. It's Kentucky sports and golf. That's the only thing I watch like
Religiously.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything else I'm casual because I don't got a football team or NBA team, so I bandwagon every
Titans.
year. Well, the Titans is my team for this coming up year.
Okay.
Who knows what it might be after that, but. So baseball is just hard for somebody like me to really get into it. But if they was to just start, cracking home runs like crazy again, or pitchers is going nuts.
Well, Chuck, allow me to jump in and ask you real quick. If they took away baseball altogether, if Major League Baseball was to cave in and fold up, how would you feel about that?
For me personally, I feel bad for America, but not for me personally. I get over it quickly.
Okay, how do you think America would feel about that?
I think it's a lot of Americans that enjoy the game. My little brother lives in northern Kentucky, so when Cincinnati has the opening day, it's like a great thing for the city.
Now back to what Quentin was saying. What does Major League Baseball need to do to increase its popularity and get back to where it was?
Mm-hmm.
I say they've been feeding on hamburger for so long, they're hungry for steak. And that's what happens. So you give them some steak, and now how do you make them hungry for the steak? I say you contract. Too many baseball teams out there, too many franchises. We've already seen Major League Baseball cut back on the number of minor league teams they have, which is why we no longer have the Lexington Legends, because the Kansas City Royals are tougher. Yeah, but then that affiliated with Major League Baseball.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's why the Legends were until Major League Baseball decided to cut back on the number of minor league teams they have in their farm systems. And then when the Legends was one of those teams cut loose, that pretty much hurt the community here in Lexington. So now you got everybody in Lexington saying, counter who? Counter clocks. What happened to the legends? Well, if you haven't been following, that's what happened. Kansas City Royals cut the legends loose because they want to contract. They're spending too much money, so you contract. Now, and not only contract the number of teams you have, reduce the number of games they play. And that'll make you hungry for the game because all of a sudden you have nothing all summer long other than going to your neighborhood parks and watching the kids play. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. But to Quentin's question, how do you restore Major League Baseball to yesteryear? Cut back on the number of games each team plays. 182 games, too many games. Cut back on the number of teams. What you got? 32 teams in Major League Baseball? Do we need 100? Do we need 32 teams? I don't think so.
Do we need 100 and something games?
Definitely not.
Yeah, there's 100-some games. And Chuck, before I let you cook on this one, somebody wrote on Facebook, don't want to admit it, but MLB doesn't have enough Rodmans or Draymonds. Villains sort of to speak of, just as team rivals. Need more personalities to get people to watch, and they play too many games, 120 games max, won't do it because of the money.
Now, you mentioned personalities. Here's a personality that was very popular back in the day, Babe Ruth. Anybody following knows Babe Ruth did a lot of drinking and was sort of at the ballpark a lot of times, stoned out of his mind, hitting 700 and some odd home runs before Hank Aaron came along and busted that record. So you're right. I agree. You got to have personalities. You need characters. Let's look at, you speak of characters, you remind me of, used to play for the Oakland Raiders, Howie Long, where he sat on that bench one day with a clown mask on. He was a character. You got to have characters. Dennis Rodman, a character. You need characters, people who are entertaining, not just great ball players, but entertaining, where everybody says, I want to go see the game, not because of the game, because you want to see the character, you want to see the clown.
Yeah. And people need somebody to root against. Like people need a bit like LeBron, so to speak. You know, whether you feel people root against, they hope he fails for whatever reason. Have KD, people hope he fails. Draymond, they don't necessarily want the Golden State Warriors, they want him to lose. And then football, you can, pick, there's a plethora. You can Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, like so many guys that people want to see lose. But anyway, Chuck, with you having a son who's playing baseball right now, what is your thoughts, views, and opinions? What can MLB do to bring it back to the forefront and be up there back again with the NFL and NBA?
Well, I think before you can even get to that point, I think you got to understand, how it got to where it is. I think that, first of all, it depends on who you ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to ask a room of African Americans, you're going to get, well, the game is too slow. The game is boring.
Mm-hmm.
The game is too expensive. The game has been, we've been priced out of the game, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because majority of the African Americans don't like playing baseball. They have no interest in it. It does nothing. Villains, no villains, whatever. No interest. You flip that, and then you got a room full of, Caucasians or, Dominicans, or whatever. You're going to get a different response.
Right.
Because they love the game.
Right.
That's what they do. Dig into a little bit more. You start talking baseball, basketball, football. Well, basketball and football are predominantly dominated by African Americans, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're generally more athletic, bigger, stronger, et cetera, et cetera. So they're drawn to that. From a cost perspective, all I need is what? A pair of cleats for football.
Yeah.
For basketball, I need a pair of gym shoes.
That's it.
Right. For baseball, I need 2-3 bats, 2 gloves, a couple pair of cleats, et cetera, et cetera. I could easily be walking around with $2-4 grand in my bag.
And you forgot to say a bag.
And a bag, right?
Yeah.
So most of us, they're not going to spend that type of money. Then you start getting into, from the youth perspective.
That's the same with golf too, by the way.
Yeah, same with golf. Then you get into the youth perspective. Well, they don't want to, they can't go out here and afford to go out here and travel. Like I got to start traveling here in a couple of weeks. We got 5 weeks worth of travel. So you got hotels, you got all that stuff. You got
travel expensive, yeah.
Right? Then you got to pay these huge club fees, et cetera, et cetera. Well, basketball, you still got AAU, right? You still got to pay for that. You still got to pay for hotels. So, it's somewhat similar from that perspective, right? But at the end of the day, it's just not as much interest.
Let me ask you a question. In one season of baseball for your son, ballpark, how much does it cost?
Now you talking travel, you talking about everything, all
Talking
in.
about one full season.
Travel ball included.
I would say I think the highest I probably spent is probably about 15 grand.
So before we go to commercial break, you hinted on it a little bit. Do you feel like black people are just being priced out of baseball?
No, it's not there. There are exactly automatically. I mean, that's just real. Because, think about it, Q. I go right now, if my son goes out and cracks a bat, it's gonna cost me $500 to buy him back. My son goes out and tears a pair of shoes, I give him a pair of shoes for $150.
Not even that.
Or,
ball bust or something like that.
Right.
$25, $30.
Well, I mean, you don't really need no more.
Yeah.
Right? He rips a glove, that's $300. Right? I go to a BB core event, that's a BB core bat. I go to a wood bat tournament, I got to spend another $100-something on a wood bat. Right? He cracks that wood bat in the tournament, I got to buy another wood bat. See what I'm saying?
Well, do they allow aluminum bats like they do in college?
Well, I mean, it just depends on the tournament. Certain tournaments are wood bat only, and then certain bats are BB core, which is aluminum. So it just all depends. So a lot of times when you just think about what I just laid out for you, you sit down and say, man, I don't want to be bothered about this.
That's too much.
I mean, that's just too much. So you gotta want it. That sport there, you gotta want it. You gotta drink it. You gotta eat it. You gotta live it. That's gotta be what you.
It's got to be you.
But at the same time, and I see this all the time, and it's just a flat out thing. You have a lot of Caucasians, Dominicans, whatever. That's all they do. 12 months. They play baseball. That's it. They don't play any other sports.
We're going to take a quick commercial break before we do some of these comments about you, Chuck. They said, man, Chuck must be shopping at the Gucci baseball store.
I should have shot no Gucci baseball store. It's just that if he's going to play, he got to have what he got to have.
Yeah.
But
Chuck, I understand exactly where you're shopping. You're shopping at Dick's like everybody else, or like everybody else. You're right. It is expensive. A baseball bat is not like going to the dollar store and getting a broom handle.
I mean, that's why I got to save my money. That's why y'all see me out rolling around.
Yeah, gotta get that guap. But anyways, we're gonna take a quick commercial break on Beyond the Game on WLXU 93.9 FM. When we come back, we'll ask a couple of questions like, why doesn't Monty Williams, Mike Budenholzer, and Doc Rivers find an NBA job? And between everybody in the building right now, y'all might want to stay tuned because one of us has a relationship with Doc Rivers when he was down with the Atlanta Hawks. When we come back on Beyond the Game on WLXU 93.9 FM.
And I didn't even bring up showcases.
Huh?
I didn't even bring up showcases because you got to pay for showcases. That's $300 a pop.
It's just a quick commercial. It's almost over with. Does Chase know where he's going to college yet? No. And he said he don't know yet.
He clueless. He don't know. I tell you what, though, Q, next summer, I'm done, man.
You
Give
done?
me that money in my pocket.
Yeah. Oh, hey, it goes both ways, right? Yeah, twofold. But anyways, welcome back to Beyond the Game with WLXU 93.9 FM. We great talk about a couple of coaches. Man, Chuck got me all tickled over here because I'm excited for you, brother. I'm more excited for you on the other end than the other end, if you know what I'm saying. But anyways, we're going to talk some NBA coaches. Monty Williams got let go by the Phoenix Suns. Mike Budenholzer, the Bucks championship winning coach, got let go by them early this year. And Doc Rivers got let go a couple of weeks ago after the 76ers exited the playoffs. So you have Monty Williams, who was in the NBA Finals last season, playing against Mike Budenholzer, who won the NBA Finals. Both of them coaches are no longer there. Doc Rivers, who has an NBA championship, but it was like from 40 years ago, but he got one nonetheless. So why?
And don't forget, Budenholzer and Monty Williams both won Coach of the Year too.
Well, how about that? There it is, ladies and gentlemen. So why can't I'm gonna let Mr. Oscar cook last on this. Why can't these three coaches find an NBA gig? Chuck, I'm gonna throw it over to you first, man.
Man, that is a great question.
Go ahead, man. The floor is yours.
Monty Williams is, I would say, I mean, he's from what I can see. I mean, he's a good coach. He's great. Has he been out coaching certain things? Absolutely. But there's a lot of coaches that have been out coached, so it doesn't mean anything. But he's a spiritual guy. He relates to the players. I mean, again, we also know. We're all talking based on what we see on the outside. We don't know what goes on in the locker rooms, et cetera, et cetera. But there's got to be something out there that these three guys, that they are, whether you're talking about Phoenix, whether you're talking about Philadelphia, who went with Nick Nurse.
Right.
I know Detroit wants Monty Williams, but Monty Williams won't take that job.
That's too young.
Why? Well, it ain't that either. I mean, they ain't going to win.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's too young. Like, there's nothing there.
And then, the Bucks went with Adrian Griffin.
Right.
Right. And so, I don't know what, those dudes ain't going to have no job.
That's what it's looking like.
And you trying to tell me that Budenholzer just won the chip
2 seasons ago. Not that last season, but the season before it, yeah.
Can't get a job when, I mean, Giannis was hurt.
Chris Middleton was hurt.
Yeah. And they got to let go. Then Monty Williams, I mean, you traded majority of the team away. And for some odd reason, these fools out here thought that Devin Booker and KD was going to go out here and just win just those two. You had no bench, you had nothing else. He didn't trade. They traded.
They did. And Chris Paul was hurt as well.
Right. So what are you going to do? Now, Doc, that's a different conversation. We've been up and down this thing with Doc over the last couple of years. Maybe it's just a new fresh start for him. Are these dudes gonna be assistant coaches?
Nah, ego too big for that.
Right. So they just so these good coaches, because of, other than Doc, because of what happened, injuries and everything else, they get terminated. And they ain't got no job. And they gonna go hire these young guys over proven winning coaches. Something's up.
Something's up. Hold on, D Money. I'm gonna give Mr. Oscar's take on this because he, before the show started, before y'all got here, he told me that he used to cover Doc Rivers then when he was at the Atlanta Hawks. So I'm really interested to hear what you have to say as to why you think these three coaches, more prominently Doc Rivers, is having trouble finding a job.
Coaches are hired to be fired.
That's true.
Okay.
Sure.
So, and nothing is forever. Let's look at why Deion Sanders left Jackson State, because he knows coaches are hired to be fired. So Doc will get rehired. Now the question is, how long will it take before he gets rehired, and who will hire him? So I'm not worried about Doc not coaching right now. I'm gonna bet, as you say, when I was in the service, I'm gonna bet, and I'm gonna clean it up, a fat man's derriere, that before the 4th of July, he will be hired somewhere to coach somebody.
Okay.
So there's no question about why can't he find a job. Why can't the job find him? And the job will find him. And Doc's not worried about anything. He's just sitting back late in the cut, counting his money, enjoying his downtime with his family that he hardly gets to see because he has been coaching for the last several years. And let's don't forget, he was also a player in college and in the pros. So this is a great time for him to enjoy himself and his family.
So, Chuck, when he said Doc will find a job before July 4th, Mr. Oscar, I want to pose this question. Where's this job going to come from? There's limited opportunities out there, and the Suns have narrowed their choices down to 3 coaches, which none of them are Doc Rivers, and I don't see any other coaching vacancies. So where's this Doc Rivers hiring going to come from?
Well, it could come from the Nets. It could come from the Hawks itself, a team he once, as you said, once played for. You don't know. It's like trying to find a needle in the haystack or a diamond in the rough. You don't know. You just got to sit back and pay attention to what's happening, and you'll find out. Somebody will take him, even if it means hiring a great coach. Let's look at Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson came out of nowhere. And how many teams has he coached? The Lakers, the Bulls, and Pat Riley, same thing. Doc will be hired again.
Not this season.
And look at Red Auerbach and Red Holtzman. And again, I'm dating myself, and I apologize for that. But great coaches don't stay home for long. Question is, you ask me who will hire him? Mm-hmm. I don't have a clue. I just know there's somebody out there that's going to want him. Doc is like that beautiful girl at the party. She's not going home alone. Doc's going to find himself a team, and a team will find him. They'll come to an agreement. He'll be back on the bench next year for sure.
Nah, I just can't see. I can't see Doc coaching next year. Not because he's not a good coach, but I just don't see no opportunities out there for him. Go ahead, D-Money.
All right, so let me start off with Monty Williams.
He says he's going to be coaching Dirt Bowl.
I know I had seen something where J.R. Smith was talking about he had a little bit of an issue earlier in his career because I think he said Monty does not like to play young players.
Okay.
So maybe that had something to do with why they traded away a lot of guys, and they vet with
KD.
the proven veterans,
Mm-hmm.
and that's probably why he's not going to take, maybe a Detroit job or anything like that.
Okay.
So I think maybe just because he's stuck in his ways, that might be what stops him. Because overall, I think he's a good coach, but I think the perfect fit is not going to come, and if he's not willing to go back on some of
I got you. Change his coaching style and philosophy.
then he's probably going to be stuck.
Yeah.
Now, what I think Doc Rivers suffers from is the same thing that Coach Calipari suffers from. It's not really that you a bad coach, but when you have the type of players that he's had, people just expect more from you. And if you don't get it done, it makes you look like you're a bad coach.
Because people are saying, you had this, why didn't you
At
go
this point,
with that? Yeah.
Doc Rivers, outside of, we looking at some of them old squads, in the modern era, nobody's had more talent probably than Doc Rivers.
Okay.
If you look at all the legends and future legends that
So
he's
he had
had.
KG, Paul, Rondo, Ray. He actually had a young T-Mac when he was with Orlando. He had Blake Griffin and Chris Paul out in LA.
DeAndre Jordan, or whatever that's
Or
worth.
DeAndre Jordan, if you want to throw him in there. And now James Harden and Jordan. That's an interesting thought. How much talent Doc Rivers has coached in the NBA.
Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler. Dang, I forgot about that too.
Well, Quentin, let me go back to your question about where's he going to land. I think Indianapolis wouldn't be a bad spot. And now that Larry Bird is back in the front office, making those types of decisions, I wouldn't be surprised if Larry Bird didn't call him. Because let's not forget, Larry Bird is a former Celtic, much like Doc Rivers. Even though he didn't play, he coached. So I think there's a special connection there where shouldn't be surprised if Larry Bird calls Doc and says, I got a job for you. And Doc says, I'll take you.
Well, there it is. There's a look for him right there.
Well, that's gonna have to fire Rick Carlisle.
Rick
I
Carlisle
guess that's
doing-
possible.
Well, let's look at what
Because Rick Carlisle's a Celtic, and he played with Larry Bird, so I don't see him letting Rick
It's
Carlisle
possible
go.
if they get off to a bad start. It's
Well,
possible.
Doc could get a job. Even Larry Bird's going to recommend him for another team. I think Larry Bird's going to look out for Doc because they're Celtics. There's a bond there. There's a fraternity there.
It may be a fraternity, but I think Doc gonna be in the studio with us next season.
Yeah.
And when it comes to Milwaukee, I think sometimes you just have to do something as a franchise.
Right.
Yeah, but even
So if you're not gonna get rid of some of the guys, gotta do something.
Could end up in Cleveland, the Cavaliers. Who knows?
But it could. That's why I mean. But it's just shocking to me that you get rid of Budenholzer, you go with Adrian Griffin. Again, nothing wrong with Adrian, But I would think for that team with Giannis, I mean, you would.
I think Giannis had something to do with it.
He had to.
I think you don't make a move like that for a guy that just won you a chip without running it by that guy and that guy giving a blessing.
Well, no, he didn't. He spoke up for him.
Oh, he
That's
spoke
a
up.
fact.
Okay.
Yeah, he did do that for sure.
So then why would they go against? That don't make sense.
No, he spoke up for Adrian Griffin.
Oh, okay, not Mike Boot. Okay, that's what I was gonna say.
Oh, he spoke up for Mike Budenholzer too.
Why would you? But anyway, that concludes our show for today, Mr. Oscar. Thank you, our guest who come by today with all his accolades and accomplishments on the building. I need everybody to like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel KY Beyond the Game. Derek Stevenson, let people know where they can find you at, my man.
I like it better when you do it, man.
I can't do it. They won't.
I got you. It's just you introduced me so good. I was gonna let you do your thing. Anyways, y'all can find me on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Sports and Discourse with Derek Stevenson. That's simple.
And of course, you can also hear my sports reports every morning, Monday through Friday, here on Radio Lex, at somewhere between the hour of 8 and 9 o'clock. And I'll give you updates on what's happening locally with the Wildcats, Kentucky State University, Eastern Kentucky, as well as the teams up in Indianapolis, which is our closest NBA franchise with the Pacers and the Fever. Let's not forget about the WNBA and give the women their props.
Hey, there it is, straight like it.
And you can find me at the house.
I was getting
Or I'll be in the office.
Or at the Gucci baseball store.
However you won't find it, I'm around. Y'all just go ahead, look for the smoke.
There it is. See the smoke? There's Chuck. We're getting up out of here. And as always, I want you to treat somebody how you want somebody to treat your mama. And we up about this thing, y'all. Peace.
Its board of directors, but are solely those of the host and her guest. Welcome to Transactionality, a program that uses the transactional model of communication.
Good show, guys.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, nice.
Yes, sir.